Great. I'm glad to have everyone listening. Here I am with somebody that came from Africa about a year and a half ago. Khumblani, welcome.
Thank you, Mr. Chad Hendricks. Thank you for having me on this podcast.
Tell me, Khumblani, how long have you actually been over in the States?
I've been in the States for about 1 year, 6 months now.
What I'm looking for and talking to you about today is really what do you believe people need to know when they come over to the United States? What kind of mindset should they have? What are they going to experience over here? Even the fact that sometimes I get the question on is there racism in the United States? And just what other pieces of advice you would have for someone coming over here. So, could we start out with your mindset? What do you think people should know about and how they should be thinking about when they come to the United States?
Okay, thank you. I think when one is coming to the United States of America, they need to consider a few things. I'm glad someone is going to get help from this conversation because I didn't get much information on these things. It's something that I've learned by observing on my own. First thing, when you're coming to USA, you need to know where you are going, what part of the country, which state of the country are you gonna go, and you need to know what are you going to do, and you need to have in mind what you want to achieve, because there's gonna be more distractions like any other country. If you go anywhere, any part of the world, there'll be some distractions. So yeah, if you need to come to the US, you have to know the purpose why you are coming. You have to know who you are personally. Where are you gonna fit? So just do a research of the place where you are going and what kind of a job or what kind of a visit you are paying. You know, yeah, I think that's all.
Yeah, and with the EB visas, everyone will know what location they're going to, which part of the country they're going to, and even what they're doing because they're getting hired for a specific job.
Yes.
But the question would be is, as far as the vision, what kind of vision did you have, Kumblani, on what you're doing and what are you looking to do?
Okay. The vision that I had when I came here, of course, one thing is I wanted greener pastures. I wanted a better life compared to where I come from. So the vision is coming to America and work as a truck driver, which is a CDL holder. So my vision was to work and set a better life for my family and future kids and prepare for my future to come. So by so doing, I found America is a good starting point where everyone is free. You can come and work and earn more money. So my vision is just to better my life in this country.
And so far, now that you've been here for a year and a half, what have you experienced in the United States as far as being able to better your life? What about racism in the United States? What have you experienced?
What I've experienced in the United States is actually the opposite of what I thought. Before I came here, I used to hear everyone saying there's too much racism in the USA. So when I came here, I was so afraid. But to my surprise, it was different. It was actually the opposite. So what happened is where I come from in Africa, white man doesn't share the same restroom with a black person. So when I arrived here, I used any restroom that I wanted to use. And whether you're white, you're Indian, you're black, you're Chinese, we use the same restroom. Another thing is in Africa, normally a white man cannot drive with a black man in the same car. It's either a black man is gonna stay at the back of the trunk. But here, you drive together, you eat together, you work together. It doesn't matter your skin color. You can have a better position. You can be black. You can have a better position as long as You are good for whatever career and the position is for you. It doesn't matter about the race. Then number three, I've been to quite a few states in the America. So everywhere that I've been, I've seen different colors in each and every state. But before I heard that, no, there's only place for whites, there's only place for blacks. I didn't see that. I've seen people everywhere. Of course, in every other country, there'll be a bigger number and a lesser number, but there's no specific place that I've been to and I saw only one color. In terms of racism, I haven't experienced it. I haven't seen it. This is what I've experienced in America. I've been to more than 20 states. There's no way that I felt like I'm being undervalued because of my skin color. One thing that I've also noticed is about the churches. The churches, that's when you can find maybe there's a black church. And I don't see anything wrong about it because what we believe in and how we do our things, it might be different because of culture or tradition.
Those are interesting points to hear as an
Mhm.
American, or even as a white American on my side. That's interesting to hear those things because I don't think about those at all. When you mentioned about the restrooms or the bathrooms, I've never even thought about that in my life. That's back in past American history. There was times where there was segregation, but never, not even close to really my lifetime. And so it just sounds, it sounds so out of the ordinary to even think that would be a conversation to have.
One funny fact is, I think you need to hear this one. When I came here, I had to stay in a hotel. So in that hotel, there were many foreigners coming from different parts of the world. Some they were coming from Germany, some Spain, some Africa as well. So what we decided to do is we decided to cook one meal. We cook once, we eat together. So we were eating together, different people, different backgrounds, and we didn't have any problem about that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Someone could come and introduce their own food from their country. We eat it. Next day, it's another one. We eat together. Yeah. Until someone came from Africa, another guy from Africa. He was white. So he found me. I was the only black person there. He found me eating with these other guys. They are whites, but they're from Europe and different other parts of the world. He was shocked. And they said, "You eat together with this one?" Then they said, "Yes." What's the problem? We are one.
Yeah.
And he didn't separate himself. He joined. We ate together. Whatever he cooked, we started cooking. We started eating it. Whatever he cooks, I ate it. So I felt like America made us unite, man.
It took a while even for Americans to unite on some of these things. And it's hard because in the US, we even hear that there's still a lot of racism. And I think what I'm hearing from you, Kumblani, is that maybe it's the level of racism that people are used to. You've come from a place where you might have experienced a lot of violence, and maybe you can share some of the stories on that. And so you don't see
Yes,
that
yes.
here. I don't see an actual lot of stories or a lot of data that people are being killed because of their race. Doesn't mean that it doesn't happen, but it's
Mhm.
not a high number. The American history in the past, yeah, there were times where it was bad when you look in the history books. But at this point, I don't think people fear as much as what the media shows. And that's where
Yeah.
I think some of the misconceptions come about what they're going to experience here. When the guys that have come over through the EB program have come over, they notice things. And it's exactly what you talked about. They had
Yeah.
no problem talking to anyone for help, like going through the airports and trying to figure out where they needed to go. They said everyone was so helpful. All you have to do is know that you can ask. And if you know that you can ask, you will get the help. when they arrived in the United States and they went to the CDL school to get their CDL, they
Yeah.
asked, "Can we walk around at night? Are we able to walk?" And the person said, "Of course you can." They're like, "Are we going to have any problems?" No, you won't have any problems. And they would
Mhm.
comment about how there's no walls everywhere and there's no barbed wire everywhere. And
Yeah.
that it's such a different experience here. And everybody experiences their own life through their own eyes.
Yeah.
And I think relatively, you and maybe others that come from Africa have experienced more recently some things that other people in the US would say are extremely racism or violent or whatever it is.
That is true.
And I also thought, oh, your comment on church, on white churches and black churches, because there is a pretty strict, almost segregation there.
Yeah.
There are places like I have a friend in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, who they are at a church that specifically put a white pastor and a black pastor together so that they could not have just a white church or just a black church, that they have it together. And I
Mhm.
hope to see more of that. I know at my church that I go to is mostly white, but there are some
Okay.
black people that come to the church, but it is still mostly white. And
Yeah.
there are different ways that you could see a worship. When I've been to black churches worship, it is much more
Mhm.
energetic and
So
lively,
much
and people
energy.
are yelling and shouting and yelling amen and all of that stuff.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
what I've seen in the white churches, or at least the ones that I've been in, it's more subdued. It's almost more somber, sacrament, whatever it is, but it's quieter, right? And it doesn't
Yeah.
mean one way is better than the other. It's just, it is different. That's for sure.
Yeah. Like I said, that depends with our difference in culture, tradition, how we're raised.
Yeah, and I would say that I don't know this to all be true, but what I've been told why the black churches are more energetic in the United States is because historically, when you go back to the slavery times in the United States, their church worship when they were slaves was really the place that they could actually express themselves. And that's just
Mhm.
carried forward over the generations, where church is somewhere where they can show their expressions and emotions and get excited and not have to worry about it. It probably is a culturally historical phenomenon of why there's a difference here in the US between a predominantly white church versus a predominantly black church. But I do
Okay.
know this, if a black person shows up in our church, they are not shunned. They are not made to feel unwelcomed. In fact, they probably
Mhm.
get more welcomed because they stand out. And so they probably have more people that go to them to welcome them than if you were a random white person that nobody knew if you were a stranger or not. So they actually probably get treated better,
Mhm.
in my experience, because of that.
That is true.
Is there anything else that you would see in Africa versus here?
Okay. The other thing that I've noticed here, what I like is there's too much opportunities. Everywhere where I go, I always see a sign written, we are hiring. Yet in Africa, there is no job opportunities. Then another thing that I've noticed was there is less corruption. I'm not saying there's no local. I've seen less corruption. Another thing, okay, another thing that surprised me when I arrived, some people could just leave their cars unlocked and park it in the street. Then I'll be wondering, why not lock me your car? They'll be like, nothing's gonna happen. Even if I'm leaving the house, just going to my neighbor, I have to make sure I lock my door.
Yeah,
Don't lock my car.
I would say that's probably, there's probably spots in the US that you probably would lock your cars and lock your doors, but there's a lot of
Yeah.
areas. I know where I live, there's a lot of people that they'll leave their house unlocked when they leave. They
Mhm.
will not lock their car doors. It just is something where people feel safer in that. And it doesn't mean
Yeah.
that people don't get robbed or there's not any of that, but it's such a,
No, no, they
feels
say
like a
they
rarity. It's very rare. But even
yeah.
even when I was in South Africa, what I saw is a lot of windows or a lot of front doors would have the extra like security door. It's the steel
Yes, yes.
bars and that doesn't exist in a lot of places in the US. You don't have those
No,
extra
no,
things
I
over.
have seen them.
Yeah. And you're right about the jobs here in the US. There is a labor shortage. And I know a lot of people are concerned about the new president coming back in and what are they going to change for immigration. I do know
Yeah.
this, that so far employment based immigration visas have not been affected. if that changes, there's going to even with any immigration, there's going to be a lot of pushback because a lot of the businesses in the US do rely on immigration for work,
Mm,
and our unemployment is in the single digits. If it gets to
yeah,
8%, people are like, "Oh my gosh, what is happening?" They're very concerned. Even in South Africa itself, I think unemployment, the last I saw, was 39%, something like that.
yeah,
That would be considered astronomically a disaster in the US. There is plenty of opportunities here to get jobs, and that is a good spot for everyone.
yeah.
Khumblani, I don't have any other questions. Is there any last pieces of advice or thoughts that you'd want to give anybody?
The last piece of advice that I can give to someone that wants to come to the US is number one, patience pays. I always say good food takes time to prepare. Delayed does not mean denied. So whichever process that person is looking for or that they are pushing, that opportunity they're looking for in America, don't give up on it. Take the right steps, come to the country with the proper documentation. America is one of the most difficult countries to come to. But once you come here, you will never regret it. I've been to a lot of countries before I came here. Other countries I found it so easy to get there. American paperwork, it's a bit difficult to get it, but once it's done, and once you come here, even if you waited for 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, it's still worth it. That's what I've seen on my side.
I'm glad you said that.
The things that I've achieved with this 1 year, 6 months here, the things that I would not achieve even if I were but in Africa as a truck driver. The things that I achieved in 1 year, 6 months here in Africa, I would have worked maybe 10 years to get those things. So for me, I encourage whoever that is coming for a green pasture or better life, encourage you to come, no matter what it takes. Be patient, come in the right way, it will pay you at the end.
Yeah. And I agree with all that you said
Mm.
there is the United States isn't the easiest country to come to. That is absolutely true.
No, it's not
There are other
easy
countries that are
here.
faster. We are looking right now, just so everybody knows, this is March of 2025. So if you listen to this at a later date, it might change. But right now, with the EB visas, if you have an EB3 skilled visa, that's taking the priority dates right now for that are 27 months. And that's just over 2 years. But what I've told everybody is yes, the same thing. Patience will pay off. The reason why it's so valuable is because it's hard. Hard
Yes,
things are valuable and valuable things will be hard. And it's difficult
that is
because
true.
even the very first paperwork that everybody fills out with the Department of Labor, it's taking
Mhm.
12 to 13 months for that to get an approval. You fill in this paperwork and then you wait for a year with nothing happening and no real updates. That is the hardest part. The hardest part is to sit there with nothing feeling like it's happening. And I will tell you this, it is hard for you as the immigrant. It's actually very hard for the employer because they've given you a job offer, they've interviewed you, they are excited about you coming. So even for the employer, they will
Yeah.
phone us, be like, has anything happened? Because they
Mhm.
also want you to come here. And it's hard for our team. So our team that's handling the paperwork, we also get frustrated because nothing's happened and we're like, oh, we should have had that paperwork back a month ago. Why is it not here yet? It's very hard because we are so invested in caring about the people coming through the program that when something doesn't go as it should, it actually hurts us too. So
Yeah.
everybody feels the pain. But when you get over here and when you finally get through, like in the case of truck drivers or through the CDL school, or you finally get over here as
Mhm.
a nurse or whatever job it is so worth it because I will say that I do believe that the United States is a wonderful country to be in. And I don't know if there's a better
Yes.
country. I haven't experienced everywhere and I haven't lived everywhere, but there are so many opportunities here. And I do believe that although what you might hear on the news about racism or anything else, I do believe that most of the time, if you are a good person who works hard, you get rewarded for that. And what you said earlier about management and supervisors and getting into that
Mhm.
isn't based on your skin color. Like the companies we
Yes.
work with right now, the driver managers or the recruiters, the people in the office, it is not all just white people. It is a mix of everyone. And it's based on
Yes.
who's doing their job well. And that's really a great opportunity
Yes.
here. So Kumblani,
That
I'm
is
glad
true.
you brought that up. Thank you so much, Kumblani, for your time. Good luck. Obviously, people didn't get this. You didn't come through the ED program yet. You came through a
Yes.
student visa, but we're looking at doing an adjustment of status with the EB program. So I know you have your own journey ahead of you to get permanent residency in the United States, even though you're already here. I'm so glad that I got to talk to you today.
Thank you so much for